father.
All right. Well, I believe you mentioned at the very beginning when we started talking that Tesla is remembered as kind of quirky. He's an odd guy. What can you tell us about his personality?
Well, I think people who know a little bit about Tesla are divided into two camps. One side thinks of him as a Superman, as the most brilliant inventor of all time, and then there's the other side think of him as eccentric because he did have quirks. I mean, he abhorred jewelry on women. He would get a fever if he looked at a peach. He would have to count his steps off on a walk, and if they were not divisible by three, he'd do the whole thing all over again. So he had his eccentricities. You could claim that led him to be able to see the world a bit differently because he did see the world a bit differently. So you had this wonderful, combination between this brilliant genius and this kind of quirky guy.
Yeah, he even talks about with his inventions, something to the effect of he never draws anything out. He just pictures everything in his mind and disassembles it and reassembles it all in his head.
It's totally different than how Thomas Edison approached inventing. I mean, Edison was a very trial and error sort of guy. He would, when he was doing the incandescent bulb, for instance, I mean, it must have tried hundreds of bulb designs and filament, materials. Tesla did everything in his head. He called it cerebral engineering and actually bragged that he didn't have to draw out designs. He maneuvered them in his head, and when he was finally ready, would then draw the design that he claimed didn't need any adjustments whatsoever because he had worked it out all in his mind. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but it still is to inventing.
So you write in the book that Tesla does go to work for Thomas Edison, correct?
That's right. His first job was actually installing Edison systems in Europe, in Budapest and in Paris. And he did such a great job that his European supervisors wrote probably the greatest letter of recommendation ever to Thomas Edison, who was not a shy man. This letter said, "I know of two great men. One of them, you, Thomas, and the second is ability to work for the great man." And did some great work for them. They did have different styles. I mean, Edison, just from an appearance perspective, kind of looked frumpy and dowdy, and was often chewing tobacco and is kind of a little crass. Tesla was this sophisticated European who spoke 7 different languages and dressed like he was going to the opera at all times. They had different inventing styles, as I mentioned. But the thing that really set off is Tesla felt that Edison had promised him a bonus if he, Tesla, was able to increase the efficiency of Edison generators. And so it worked for like late in the evening and on weekends to triple the output of the Edison generators. Turns to the great man and says, can I have my bonus now? And in probably the worst spite that someone can give young immigrant, Edison his face and said, the bonus was, it was an offer made in jest. And when you become a real American, you'll appreciate an American joke. As you might imagine, Tesla didn't laugh, found nothing funny about this, sort of picked up his bowler hat, left, and started his own company.
Let's take a short